Hi, Mum. You asked me how I would feel if I'd been asked to be if you'd expected me to get involved in a harebrained project at the age of 24. Um, it depends. It's hard. At the age of 24, I was bankrupt. I think. But from the age of 20, I was trying hard to learn how to write communications software so that I could make something like an internet. I just couldn't get my hands on a decent operating system, so I had to write the operating system. But I'd pretty much done that by the time I left IBM in 1989. And the reason that I left, one of the big reasons, was that I went to a Schumacher lectures in Bristol, and I went on my own, and the small school at Heartland, Devon, made the food from their garden, and there was something about the children and the food, and I compared that feeling of intellectual stimulation in that environment and just the spirit around that Heartland school. It meant that there was something missing in my life, something really big missing in my life. And I remember that evening, I later drove all the way back to London and hung out with Simon Thornton and Kate and a few other people that evening, and then I was driving home quite late, and I actually had a minor accident. I shunted someone at a traffic light, and we sorted that out, and I just broke down in tears. But it was it was because of that experience that afternoon in Bristol that just overwhelmed me. Funnily enough, it was in the Catholic church in Bristol. And I decided IBM, I'd had enough. I'd also had terrible arguments with people online when I was trying to sort out operating systems and security and things. And things just weren't going my way. I tried to get Simon Thornton involved in a project to do this, and he'd sort of talked about it and things, but then he kind of folded in on me. And his friend Jules had sold me all these pensions, and I'd actually been paying out a fortune, and they were all running, and I had no income, and I just thought, oh fuck, I can't handle this. I'm going to hang out with Catherine in India for a while. And so that's why I went. But you ask about these things, well, I don't know, it depends on the project. I don't know that you and Dad were involved in any kind of really wacky projects, but I was pretty impressed with your wacky project of going back to South Africa. That was after I'd expressed my wish to go to South Africa. I failed, ended up in Cambridge, living in Jane's flat, and the next thing I know, you're off to South Africa. It was like you couldn't get rid of me quickly enough. And I'd been homeless before I met Jane. I was out on the street because what I did was, with the last of my money after my attempt to start a business with my software that I wrote, I spent 3 months in Bath. When I came back for your birthday, I came to your house in Bath, and I worked like crazy at the end of 1990 for 3 months on regular expression processing code. And that was something, I think, was something pretty special. The last bit was the hardest bit, getting back references to work properly. And I did it just in time to be able to get my because the next thing I knew, the Schumacher College thing came up. I went to see Satish, and he said, yes, you can come to the first course, we'll give you a bursary. Because I just said, I'd gone to Satish saying, look, can I just help out? Can I come and live in Heartland and just, help out at the school somehow? And he said, well, no, why don't you come to Schumacher College? And I said, because I can't afford it, I'm bankrupt. And he said, well, we only need you only need to pay half the fee for the James Lovelock course. And I thought, wow, well, maybe I could do that. And Peter Kelway in Ponteland in Newcastle and Tyne, he gave me a job for a few months, and Twin Peaks started. And so I went up to Ponteland, and I had honestly the happiest 2 months of my life in England ever, before or after. That place has got a real deep spirit. And I meant to look up what connection Charles Lutwidge Dodgson had there. But I'm sorry, your letters and your preoccupation with money, and it just seems so superficial that it's really depressing hearing from you. It really deeply depresses me. And what I was saying about what did impress me was when you just packed everything up and went to South Africa and worked voluntarily and on your own stuff, and you lived in a rented house. And that time we came to see you, you seemed really happy and alive. It was just after Pearl had died. The next time Helen and I came to see you, you were in your new house that you'd built, and you fretted over things like getting beach sand on the varnished wooden floors, and because we were down at the beach splashing around all day, and we came back in with sandy feet, and I just thought, oh, what's happened here? And Graham was never around for some reason. But basically my problem, my point and my problem is that our family is just not there. We don't exist as a family. We've got to try and do something. We've got to start talking. And maybe some of the things that I've done are so awful that you can't even bring yourself to speak about them. It's possible that people have made videos of me without my knowing, or people have faked videos of me, or I don't know what you've seen, I don't know what the problem is, but I feel like there's some deep, dark nastiness that is stopping us from talking to each other, and it's not nice, and it's especially not nice because I'm actually stuck here under extreme stress. I've been left on the streets for a long time with bad teeth and not much physical violence, but the constant kind of fear of it since 2012. Some of the times when I was writing in 2012, the things I was writing, maybe irrationally, but because nobody answered me and because I felt that there was something awful going on, I was in abject terror. I would go down to the internet, send something, and one day I just couldn't go back in my house. I did the James Bond thing. I put a pillow in my bed and I went and slept outside in the hammock, watching the room to see if somebody came to shoot me. But, you know, you keep going, and the problem I have now is that I'm feeling a repeat of 2014 again. In 2014 you sent me some money and it wasn't enough to get my nationality sorted out. It wasn't enough to actually sort anything out. And so I decided to just invest it in the world in general and try and sort out computers, because that's what I know. And I did some, what I think is probably valuable work, but I can't seem to get anyone to even read it, never mind speak to me about it. I don't know. I did once think I got some people that I don't really know on Twitter to read it, and they seemed to understand what it was. But yeah. The problem is I understand architecture, and I can understand a bit of landscape architecture. I just wish you could understand mathematics and computer architecture and theoretical physics and stuff like that, because that's what I've learned. And that's my thing, and I think I'm quite good at it, and I think if you I don't know, the people at Cambridge ought to be able to confirm that, or the people at the Open University ought to be able to tell you what my maths degree is worth. But, you know, I can only ask you to go to those people and go to other people and ask them for their opinion of me, and go to David Lynch and ask him for his opinion of me, and see if I'm worth anything. But to continuously tell me that my projects are harebrained and that I shouldn't expect the attention of prominent people, things like this, I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know, and that's what it's like. It's really hard, and my teeth are rotting, and I don't know if you know that if you leave tooth decay untreated for 5, 6, 7 years, you quite elevate the risk of cancer and things. I need to get a. I need to. I need some help. And I do love my daughter, but what I love is my idea of my daughter, which is more and more divergent from the daughter who appears to have gone to Cambridge without anybody asking me about it, despite my having duty of care, which is a legal right. Duty of care is a legal right to have a say in decisions which affect Helen's future, decisions like over medication she may receive, or her education. But I never had that. And I'm sure Jane will argue that it was because I wasn't paying maintenance, but actually that's not true, because even when I was paying 15% of my salary to Jane, I had no say in those things. So there is a problem. There's a problem between me and Helen. There's a problem between me and Cambridge, and me and the British government in general. And for some reason, I can't, well, for a lot of reasons, I'm sure, that go back to the French Revolution, before the French Revolution, the American Revolution. Which even William Blake knew was a sham. Please, please don't be so pedestrian about life is meaningful. Money is not. Money can be sorted out if people talk. There's plenty of money around, but there's something else that's stopping me from getting support. There are people that are using money to try to make me do things that I do not want to do, and I will not do. So I think I'll leave it at that. But that email really put a bomb on the day. But I'm sure it'll recover. I got one of those peach juices that taste just like the peach juice that used to give us in boxes in South Africa. You can't get that in England. So there's a hole in the straw and it doesn't come through properly. I have, at least with this money that Dad sent me, I've been able to eat much more healthily and much more, and that's been pretty marvelous. It's just that I'm aware that by living like a normal person, I'm spending that money rapidly, just like I did when I was in La Paz. But I'm doing again, just like I did when I was in La Paz in 2014, I am again doing what I consider the most important thing that I am presently able to do given my resources. And that's what I'm doing with the money. So thank you very much. But it's not the money. That's a secondary issue. What I'm trying to do is get people to think bigger. Life is beautiful and interesting and deep and meaningful. We are not small little cogs in a big machine.